Welcome in. It's a Varsity Vibe. I'm your host, Alyssa Orange, and thank you so much for joining us on this episode as we continue to share another great conversation with the guests that we have on today's episode. Kent Early built a foundation of excellence for Bentonville Softball, winning their 7th state championship in 2025. And that standard has created an environment that develops athletes to go on and play collegiate ball at every single level. And it's also a foundation that he has built based on what he saw his dad, Alvy Early, do and the success that he had at Monticello, being willing to soak up all of that knowledge and put it into his own program. I hope you enjoy this conversation with Bentonville Softball head coach, Kent Early. What's it like as you get your girls ready for a new season?
Exciting because we have been going since the 1st of June with summer workouts.
Yeah.
And then we transition into the fall, which is our early morning workouts. That's what we call our Navy SEAL days, where we train really hard and work on the mental aspect of it. And then, so at the end of golf season in October, that's when we start to take the field a couple days a week.
Yeah.
And then you see where everybody has started. Now we're trying to fill some roster spots with competition days out there and scrimmages right now. And there's been a couple people step up that we're kind of surprised. And so that's exciting to see, them take advantage of that opportunity and see if they get a start and see how they perform.
To have the culture and the program, the expectation that Bentonville Softball does, and you talk about girls stepping up. I mean, I feel like it's important from a pride standpoint to wear that Bentonville jersey. I mean, these girls have played their entire lives, and to be able to represent the Tigers would be pretty awesome. So you see that in their mentality?
You do. It is a sense of pride because, of the history of the program. And what we tell our kids is you're not playing for yourself. You're playing for everybody that came before you. And you need to represent and carry on the tradition that they started. And the ones that are in the middle of it have continued. And the other thing is there's a lot of pressure with being a Bentonville Tiger because there's expectations to win. Yeah. And when you've had success, sometimes people think that it's just a natural occurrence. It's just going to happen. And then when you don't have that success, like for example in 2023, it's almost looked as a failure because you didn't win a state title. And that's not necessarily the truth. You have to have some talent, there's no doubt, but you also have to have a lot of luck. Yeah. And I know, as coaches always say, coach speak is, preparation meets opportunity, and that's luck, and it is how you prepare. But you do have to get the bounce the right way. You do have to get that 3-2 call strike. You do have to make the play with 2 outs and inning. And those are kind of the lucky plays that when your team is hot and they play right, the ball tends to bounce your way, and you have to have that.
Yep. When you look at your team this year and what you think you have, and if, again, haven't even played a game, you scrimmaged some, but to look at that and look at last year's team, what do you think right off the bat are going to be the biggest differences?
I think we have a little more depth at pitching.
Okay.
Daylon Osborne came to us, and she was an all-state pitcher last year, very talented. And, of course, we returned Darby, who is very talented as well. Both of them are power pitchers. I think offensively we're better because in 25 and especially 24, we were really young. We started 3 freshmen, and some games we started 4 freshmen. And then last year that turned into, junior and sophomores. And now this year we're junior and senior loaded, and that helps. So I think offensively with having those younger kids be in the varsity lineup and having those at-bats, I think we have more support offensively. And we're not just dominant in the circle. We're kind of a total package.
The roster changes, but I'm sure the philosophy doesn't much. Talk about the softball philosophy that you have, and how has it, if any, changed over the years?
Well, that's a great question. I think philosophy stays the same. Yeah. I think kids are different in there and how they come to their own, I guess, maturation in this program, and kids are different, but the standard never changes. And every day, that's what we kind of live by, is the standard is the standard, and you set one every day of how you're going to prepare every day is how we're going to perform. And so that's what kind of holds them accountable. And seeing those kids get in that position, and then as they get into seniors and see them try to get into leadership roles and continue to set that standard and see if they can push the level of preparation to the next level. Because I think you constantly have to evolve. Even though you've had success in the past, it doesn't matter. This year is a whole new year. Nobody has had an at bat yet. Nobody's got an out. Nobody's thrown a pitch. And nobody's won a game. And every game has to be a championship game. And to be honest, when you've had some success, and to be this, you are the bullseyes on your back, as everybody says. But the other reality to that, and a matter of fact, our bus driver, he's the one that told me this, so I'm gonna give him a little credit. And we talk about pressure. He said, Coach Early, y'all have to be perfect 30 times a year. That opponent only has to be perfect one time a year. And that's very true. And that's a hard standard to
What a perspective.
it is.
Why?
And so, something that we tell our kids all the time, our worst day has to be better than their best day. And we're going to have a worst day, but we got to make sure it's better. And so that's kind of what drives us.
And there's so much competition in the 6A that you play as a conference, and you go out and you schedule hard. And you played Melissa, Texas last year, the #1 team in the country. You're going to do it again. To be able to put your girls in front of those types of competition that aren't just the best in the state, but the best in the nation, why is that important?
Well, I think if you're going to have a program that if you want to be called the best, you have to play the best. And yeah, we went down to Melissa and we lost 5-3. You bet. We're going back down. We're going to try to play them twice this year. We go to Calvary Baptist again, who in the NFCA poll, they were #2. And we played them 4 consecutive years, and this will be a 5th. And then we played Benton twice this year. And we're playing Brat 3 times this year. So I think it's important. I think our non-conference schedule might be harder. I mean, obviously it is with the ranked opponents than our conference schedule. And I think it's a way to keep your kids motivated and driven, because they know that it's tough to play here. It's hard to play here, and look who we're playing. And that keeps you honest in your preparation as well, because if you don't prepare when you play those types of teams, you will get your doors blown off. You bet.
When you look at the competition that they bring in as well, the girls who are going to go play collegiately, you've got your own girls who go and play collegiately. It's got to be really cool just from that perspective to see some of the best that are about to go play on the biggest stage for college softball.
It is. And the other teams that we play like that, Calvary Baptist, their pitcher is committed to Georgia. Melissa, Texas, obviously is loaded with talent. The catcher's going to Arkansas, center fielder's going to Arizona, the pitcher's committed. I mean, they're unbelievable. It was pretty cool. A couple weekends ago, we hosted our Alvy Early Memorial Tournament and had about 6 players that are playing at that level come back to Bentonville, Arkansas, and get to play in their hometown, and their parents get to come out and watch them, and that's really cool. And then we have so many that have already signed this fall. We have a couple more that are going to sign this spring, and it is exciting. Yeah.
When you look at how much the game has changed, I mean, you even talk about, working out in June and this team being together since June to work out. That wasn't a thing when I was growing up. You didn't touch a softball until the spring started. How has that changed the game over the years?
It's funny. At the first school that I worked at, they had a rule that nobody could touch any other ball until football season was over. Well, that's not how I process anything. That's not how I think. And so I immediately said, well, I coach females, and we're going to practice because that's what we need to do. Don't you do off-season in football? And so the coach understood that a little bit. But no basketballs were out, no anything until football was over. They were very successful in football, and that's the reason why. And so in order to do that in our sport, we kind of need that same opportunity. So we broke softball line, we practiced, and we got after it. And so the game has changed due to the level of kids that get exposure at a younger age. Travel ball is a great thing for these kids. It's a great opportunity because they get to play games. Now, it's kind of a double-edged sword because the abundance of games that they play, sometimes they lose the competitive aspect because there's a difference between performing and competing. And when you play travel, it's all about me and it's all about performing and my stats and this is what I did. And that's not how we think and that's not how we operate. It is not about you. And everything about this game is bigger than you and me. And so that's kind of the mindset shift that you have, because I want to work hard for you. And how do I, team chemistry is a big thing everybody talks about. How do I create team chemistry here? And how do I do this? Well, if I'm willing to work hard for you, that's how I gain your respect, is because of my effort every day in practice. Because kids know who works hard. Kid knows who the best players are. They know. You can't lie to the kids. They know who the best player on the field is. And so they get to see that every day. And that's how you gain respect for your kids. And that's how we're a little bit different. And as far as the travel, but travel is so important for these kids because now they're playing at 8U, 10U, 12U, 16U, and they are getting, I guess, quality reps against good people. It's a step up from rec league. It's kind of like when I played baseball. It was Babe Ruth American Legion, and that's all you had. And in softball, all you had was rec league softball. And there were some good players at the time, and then they started to branch off. And when I first got here, we had a gold travel team. So there was really one level. You had gold, and you had to qualify in order to make tournaments. And now, I mean, it is what it is. It's a moneymaker.
Yeah.
And so now, as long as you pay, you can enter the tournament. And everybody's elite, everybody's gold, everybody's this. And so sometimes that waters down some of the talent on the teams. But it's still a great opportunity for the kids to be exposed. That's the only time that the collegiate coaches can travel to watch you play, because we have the same season that they have. And it's not like they're skipping their practice or their games to come watch our practice and games. Occasionally we have coaches that show up. But it's a great opportunity for the kids to get in front of coaches and gain experience, and that benefits us.
Bringing back a lot of my travel ball memories. Speaking of memories, though, let's go back to May of 2025. 7th state championship for Bentonville. What were your feelings and emotions on that field when that happened?
Well, that's a great question. Just excitement for the kids. It just, because you know what they put into it. And when we start, one of the things I always tell our kids is you can't be scared to get your heart broken. So you cannot not have a day that you don't give everything that you have. Because when you don't go all out and you don't give everything, then the price of winning is not there. And it doesn't mean anything to you if you were to win if you didn't pay the price. And so you can't hold anything back because you're scared to lose or you're scared to fail, because that's a natural thing that's going to happen. And there's going to be a day that we lose. You bet there is. But as long as you've prepared, you can live with that, because there's nothing else I could have done.
Yeah.
There is no woulda, coulda, and shoulda. You did everything you could. And so it's a rewarding thing to see. And I had an interview and I said, it's that little 5-second glimpse of the expression on their face as soon as the last out's made.
Yeah.
Oh, that's it. It's just that little snapshot. And the other thing that I tell the kids, the trophy and the ring is not what gives you the reward. That's great, but it's you knowing everything that you've done to get to that point and the sacrifices that you had to make to get that. That's the reward that you get. That's what you remember. The ring and all of that is just your own personal trophy, and that'll be on a shelf somewhere. But it's just the reward of knowing what you have done and the sacrifice you made to win a championship.
Again, that was number 7. Yeah. You remember number 1?
I do. I sure do. That's when we got to play at Bogle Park.
Yeah.
Matty Pro was unbelievable. We came out on fire. North Little Rock, they hit a triple and they scored, and they went one up 1-0. And then the bottom of the first, everything turned and we run rolled them. And we hit balls all over the park and ran the bases great. And Matty Pro pitched lights out. She was fantastic during that. And matter of fact, because Bryant hosted the tournament and we played Bryant in the opening round, we had a bye. So our opening game, we had to play them at their field, and it was packed with people and band people down the side and everything. And we went extra innings to win that game. Then we beat Rogers in the semifinals for the 3rd time that season. And then we faced North Little Rock, who had just won 3 in a row and were going for a 4th. And we run rolled them. And it was exciting. You bet it was. Mm-hmm. And Keela Griffith hit a home run that just sent us over the moon. And that picture, that photo, is on the press box. Mm-hmm. So that moment that she crossed home plate and the kids were just going nuts, it almost gets me emotional.
You've had a lot of success over your career. So let's go back to when the career kind of started and getting into coaching. You're part of a coaching family. You already mentioned your dad and the success that he has had. Your brothers are also coaches in their own profession in different sports. Was it just a family affair? Is that just what you guys did?
I guess I knew since the 7th grade what I wanted to do. I knew this was it. Also in the 7th grade, I sat on the bench when Dad played for a national championship in 1990, and I remember being on that the whole season. I can't tell you how many bus rides I've sat on the Gatorade cooler by him driving the bus, for the team and being on the bench. And that's really all we've ever known. Preston and Brian and myself, it's just basketball games, football games, baseball games. That's all we've ever known. And I always knew, well, if I wasn't going to play, I want to be around the sport in some capacity. Well, I figured out I wasn't going to be playing, so I need to figure coach.
Yeah.
But I just love it. I think Dad was the best coach I've ever seen. Of course, I got to see that hands-on. He was amazing, and so that's what I wanted to do.
What'd you learn from him the most? I'm sure we could talk for hours, but like, what do you think was the biggest thing you've taken away from your dad?
He was good to his players. Yeah, he was very good to his players, and he was tough, but he was honest, and he was a hard freaking worker. He coached in Monticello, Arkansas. That ain't easy to do.
Yeah. And coaching girls is very different. Those are your brothers coach guys.
Yeah.
How is coaching girls different?
Well, you have to coach them like boys, but there's a saying that girls have to feel good in order to play good, and guys have to play good in order to feel good. But girls want the same, I guess, demanding of them. They want the same expectations. They don't want to be treated any different. Because kids like discipline and they like structure, and that's something they thrive for, and that's when they feel that they can become their best that they can be. And so there is some little differences, yes. And some are, and most people think, well, it's a bad difference like girls talk to. No, it's not. Girls, honestly, are more mature, younger. They don't play. They get to work, and the girls actually work better as a group, honestly. And they figure that networking out pretty quick. Because in girl sports, you don't really have the alpha male who, can dunk a basketball in the 6th grade, and can do that, who's just physically outgrown everybody by that time and is better than everybody. They have a tendency to stick together and work together a little bit quicker, and they realize how teamwork works. And so, and once they know how much you care about them, they will work so freaking hard for you. It's crazy. And that's the biggest thing is building and developing relationships. As far as, you aren't your batting average. You're more than that. You are a person, and what you bring to this table does contribute to this team and our success. And you're valuable, and they have to know that. And once they know that, they bought in and they will work.
How much do you and your brothers just share coaching stories when you guys are together, despite the fact that you all coach different sports?
Yeah, well, we have a texting thread that we always text each other all the time, after games and stuff like that and different events that happen. But yeah, we all have, Preston, he's at Farmington right now, and Brian's at Missouri. And so it's fun. And there are a lot of stories, and they're different, just what comes up as far as the sports and everything, and it's interesting.
They're your brothers, right? You guys are going to be supportive regardless. But it's unique that you're also supportive in professions that everyone can relate to. You know what I mean? As opposed to one being a doctor and one's a lawyer and you're a coach. And sometimes there's a disconnect there for the three of you to have coach. How special is that to have that support system with your brothers?
It is good because you can get some advice, because somebody's been there and done that. And, well, we had a similar situation and this is how it was handled, those kind of things. And just advice and outlook of what would you do, those kind of things. And so it does help.
Yeah.
Because they've been there and done that.
Yeah. How do you get yourself excited and ready for each season?
Honestly, I don't know that I never stop being excited for the next season.
Okay.
Because it's what I do.
Yeah.
Like when I applied for this job, I applied for the head softball job, and that's what I wanted to do. And the one thing, going back to Dad, and same thing with Preston and Brian, is you don't ever want to be outworked because that's when you get beat. And even though we have facilities and we have resources here, if our effort and what we do on a daily basis, if it doesn't ever match or be better than our resources, then we're in trouble. We have a lot of things that we are grateful for, but we need to outwork everything like that. And we need to make sure that we're not underachieving on the effort part.
But how do you also then keep it light and fun too, and make sure that, remember, there is a lot of effort and a lot of fun.
Oh yeah,
and it is a game. And to get these girls to remember that, like, we play because we love the game.
Yes,
and that equals success.
that's exactly right. Practices for coaches and games are for players. I tell them that games are a celebration of your athleticism, and I want you to have fun. That's not a time to coach. It's not a time to gripe. It's not a time to complain about anything. And I think, we talked about girls have to feel good. You have to let them know when they're doing well, and that's kind of changed. Nobody can be the 1980s football coach where you grab somebody by the face mask and it's always, when I say jump, how high, and those kind of things. I mean, those days are gone, and kids are different. They respond. That doesn't work with everybody. Some kids you can really get on, and some kids, those buttons don't work for them, and you have to figure that out. But one thing that does work is complimenting somebody on their effort, telling them how well they've done, and tell them that was a great play. Just different things that they do that you have noticed. And, we've done this before too. And now granted, we haven't done it this year, but at the end of the practice, we would circle up and somebody has to say something nice about somebody that day who they recognized. And it has to be a sincere compliment, of you diving for a ball, or, hey, I really appreciate your effort because, it means this to me, those kind of things. And it validates them being there and what they did that day. And it makes them want to perform at another level because somebody took notice. And I think sometimes you get more with honey than you do vinegar.
Yeah.
And that's all coaches that probably figured that out along the way. When they come out, first you want to be the authoritarian and you want to just hammer it home and that's good. But you also have to have another side of you, human side of you that they see. And you can't be scared to make a mistake in practice or admit you made a mistake or anything. If you let them know that you're human, they have a tendency to respect that a little bit more.
It's a game of superstitions. I remember I would tell my mom I had to have a bag of Twizzlers and an orange Gatorade before every game. That was my thing. Everyone kind of has something. Do you have anything?
No, back when they used to play, it was like you can't shave on game day or you can't get a haircut on game day or this and that. And no, not so much anymore. No.
What I think is cool is that the chants and the cheers that the girls do in the dugout are the exact same that I was doing in the early 2000s. It's pretty cool how much this game has changed, but also stayed the same.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, that's true. They do.
Those are fun. Do you find yourself cheering, chanting? Nope.
Not all. I'll tell you serious now. I don't let them sing in the dugout. Now we celebrate softball smart.
Okay.
So we will yell. They have a little kind of like back and forth chant thing that they do, but it's not like the traditional cheers, where they make some noises or whatever. But it's it's. I want people to be motivated by emotion of what they see on the field. Yeah. What moves me to make an outburst or to cheer on a teammate? Because I want it to be real raw emotion. I don't want it to be, and no offense to volleyball, but I don't want it to be like volleyball. After every point, you got to come in and do like you just scored a touchdown. I don't think that's real. Different. Yeah, that's not real emotion to me. If you're moved by somebody's effort, and we did something smart because you understand the game and we executed a play, or somebody stole a base, we sacked them over, we squeezed bunted them in. That's stuff that gets you excited. Obviously, a home run gets everybody excited. Everybody's coming out of the dugout for that one. And so that's what I want you to make your noise and get, because that sometimes gets you on a roller coaster, and you can't be up and down. And that's something that I hammer home to our kids all the time is we want to be even, Stephen. We're going to be intense and we're going to be in the game, but we're not going to be up and down because some teams get too emotionally invested early on. And then about second or third inning, their dugout's pretty quiet, and so now they're on the other end of that emotional spectrum. And so, yeah.
Last question. Been coaching a long time. Biggest piece of advice for the coaches who are just getting started in this sport?
Well, I remember this. Lou Holtz came to Walmart about my second year here, and of course, I love Lou Holtz, and I got his book, and he autographed it, and I asked him that, what is one piece of advice you would give a coach? And he even signed it and hung up in my office. He says, trust your players. And so I think that's true. And I heard Nick Saban say this, when you get in pressure situations, because, he had talked about his high school experience. He says, it's not the plays, it's the players. And that's true. Trust your players. And so, whenever there's two strikes or the bases loaded or this and that, and, I'm not overly animated in the third base coach's box or anything else, because I trust what we've done as far as the process, as everybody says. The work that has got them there is why they're here.
Yeah.
And so now let's go. And you got to trust your players.
Well, I tell you, it was a joy to be on the call for your state championship game at Conway. So perhaps we'll be doing it again this year.
I hope so.
Thank you so much for joining us on this episode of Varsity Vibe. And if you have missed any of our conversations, I encourage you to go back and listen to some either on our podcast platform or wherever you get your podcasts, and our YouTube channel, as well as our social media. Go subscribe and like all of our social media platforms and sign up for our newsletter at varsityvibearkansas.com. Thank you again so much for joining us, and I'll see you next time.